Hi class, it's me Nick. Today we'll be covering white hat hacking, which is also known as ethical hacking. Here's my presentation, and yeah, let's begin. So as we learned in class, there are three types of hacking, or hackers, excuse me. You have white hat hacking, black hat hacking, and gray hat hacking. Black hat hacking is the malicious hacking. It's the hacking that people think of when they think of the term hack when they hear the term hacking. Um, Here they use their expertise for malicious intent and they commit cyber crimes. The second hacking, gray hat hacking, are hackers who abide by the law, but they'll also bend the law to do like active hacktivism or anything like that. And the third type of hacking, white hat hacking, is when a hacker uses their expertise and abilities to defend a database or an organization, and they always have the permission to hack. So uses of white hat hacking are defending networks against cyber crimes, accessing security, constructively exploiting vulnerabilities, which is also known as pen testing, which is an occupation under ethical hacking, and then yeah, just defending an organization's assets. So what sorts of occupations are under ethical hacking? I used to think it was only pen testing, but after my research, I was sorely mistaken. So pen testing is one of them, which is when you test for an organization's vulnerabilities in the network to kind of give like constructive criticism on how their network security is. Security analyst, which is responsible for maintaining the integrity and security of data, which is also very important. Information security manager, which enforces security measures and policies to protect an organization's computer systems and networks. And lastly, there's certified ethical hacker. This is a skilled professional who understands and knows how to look for weaknesses and vulnerabilities in target systems, which is almost like pen tester, but a little different. So skills needed to be an ethical hacker. When you're an ethical hacker, it's important that not only are you technical, but you also know how to talk to people, because there'll often be times where if you're a pen tester, for example, you'll be hired to test organization security. And when you do that, you'll most often be reporting to people who don't really know much about cybersecurity or networks in general. So communication, attention to detail, like when you're looking at vulnerabilities in a network or when you're coding, you need to be able to pay attention to the small things, because the small things can mess up code or anything like that. Ability to script and write code. Knowledge of networking, which is very important because you need to know how networks work in order to test them. Knowledge of database, because you'll most likely be defending database. And certifications, which are very important and we'll get into later on. So what places use ethical hacking? There's the United States government, cybersecurity companies, banks and credit unions, and other businesses that request the services of a penetration tester. So white hat hackers, they use the same methods as black hat hackers, because they have to learn how to do black hat hacking in order to be ethical hacking, in order to do ethical hacking. So they use rootkits, Trojan horses, which is like malware that is hides itself as something desirable. Spyware, which is software that spies on the computer. Vulnerability scanner, which searches for vulnerabilities in a computer network. Keyloggers, which are used to track keystrokes in the computer. This can steal usernames and passwords. And then lastly, passive scanning, which is social engineering, which we've covered. Because people, when it comes to cybersecurity, people are the weakest link. Okay, also, the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they have their own process for, they have their own rule set for ethical hacking, and it comes in 4 steps. You have planning, discovery, attack, and reporting. When you're planning, it's important to you have to think about the objective. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to test for? What do you want to get out of this? So you can help the third party. Discovery is finding any vulnerabilities and using vulnerability scan or your own skills. Attack is when you go on the offensive and attack a network like a black hat hacker would. You just do it. You do it ethically. You do it with a good purpose, good intent. And reporting, which is when the communication skills from earlier come into play, when you'll be most likely talking to someone who isn't technical, so you have to be aware of that when you're reporting. So you give a final assessment of what you found and what can be done better and what you did, but you have to try to do it in most cases in the least technical way possible. The NSA also has their own methodology for their own rule set for ethical hacking. It's done in 3 phases though, not 4. So you have the pre-assessment, which is like the planning assessment, which is like the planning part, and the NIST, which is where you ask yourself what you want out of this, the objectives, things like that. On-site assessment, which is when you actually, find vulnerabilities in the attack, and then the post-assessment, which is when you do the reporting. So certifications. In the STEM field, certifications are very, common. Even now we're told that, hey, make sure you get your certification, get the certification, get that certification. And here are some of the ethical hacking certifications. You have Certified Ethical Hacker, you have SANS GPEN, you have OSCP, you have CREST, and you have Foundstone Ultimate Hacking. Foundstone Ultimate Hacking is a 2-day course. So you'll take the course, and there's like a big exam at the end of it, which is like crammed in with all the knowledge that you learned in the course and that you should have been studying, even before you took the course. So that way you're not cramming all that knowledge and having to do it all on the exam. SANS GPEN is a 24-hour course. And then Certified Ethical Hacking, that is the oldest certification out there for ethical hackers, but it's very important and it has all the things you need to become a good one. And I believe CREST focuses on vulnerability scanning, which is also very important. And it's also important for an ethical hacker to be able to look for vulnerabilities without tools, because we won't always have tools, and it's just important to know how to do that because they can't find everything. It's important for you to also find those vulnerabilities as well. So the downsides of ethical hacking, while it is great, it does have its shortcomings. Some of them are, the people, like I said, the people are the weakest link. So ethical hackers, for example, they might not always, when you hire a penetration tester, you're giving them very sensitive information, and you have to trust them to be able to not spread that information, which, it's a slippery slope. You have to help your business out, but at the same time, you have to trust this person who may or may not have the right intent. So really, it's the knowledge that the hacker has and how they're going to use it. It's the possibility that an ethical hacker cannot be ethical. It's the entrustment of classified information, and that could lead to massive security breaches if that person isn't truly ethical in what they're trying to do. So summary. Ethical hacking is important. We need it to defend networks and cybersecurity. We need it to defend everyone. This is important to everyone on a global scale. Everyone has data online, their bank, their bank information, house information, everything. Everyone has data online, and that needs to be protected from, black hat hackers. We're fighting back for power. And 2, when you are an ethical hacker, it's important. You always have to have this. You have to be able to learn, constantly learn about new things and new technology. If you don't have that desire to learn, or if you don't have that attitude of, hey, I need to learn, it's not for you. And then there's also risk in the field, you could be working with an ethical hacker who's not ethical, things like that. So there's also risk, and you have to be able to assess that. And that is my presentation. Thank you.